Aubry. It's wonderful to be talking to you today. How are you?
Oh my gosh, I am wonderful. Thank you, John. It's been a wild 12 hours. I'm like, what time is it? Like 8 in the morning here. It's been 12 hours. It feels amazing.
Now, you must have given a little bit of thought to this, but you want a good chunk of change. Do you have any plans for it?
I want to talk to Rick Devens about where he wants to go out to eat. That's my number one, absolutely, for flipping that coin. And then I definitely want to make sure my son is set up for the
Yeah.
future.
I was going to say, you're a mom now. What do you hope your son takes from your time on Survivor when he considers and watches it in its totality later on in his life?
I think for me, John, outwit, outplay, outlast. Outlast has always been the most resonant with me.
Right.
I want my son to remember that nothing is ever as good or bad as it seems. My dad always says that to me. My dad's had a heart transplant. My family's been through some really hard stuff in the past few years, and
Right.
I think it's that we don't quit. We can get through anything. It doesn't matter if you can just put one foot in front of the other. You can do anything you want. That's what I hope Odie will see.
Now, going into last night's final tribal council, what were your feelings? How were you feeling about your status in the game walking in?
Sure. Yeah, I felt very lucky that I had the opportunity to
Right.
determine who I was sitting with in the final three.
Right.
And I felt like I had a really solid shot, but I've been through this in Survivor Co Wrong, and I thought I played a great game then, and everything fell to pieces. So I just knew I had to fight like hell. And even after, like I felt like I left it all on the table, but I didn't know. And Jonathan and I fought, and he played a great game, and I wasn't sure.
Now, before that, you got to choose because you won the final immunity challenge.
Mhm.
Great job on that. And you got to pick who was going to go into fire. Why
Mm.
did you not pick Joe? What was the reasoning behind it, that whole thought process about why you picked who you did?
Yeah, so I really thought about all the different combinations of people on that jury.
Yeah.
And my worst nightmare was Jonathan and Rizzo because I thought that if Joe was on the jury, he was absolutely going to vote for Jonathan.
Right.
And that if Rizzo was sitting next to me, he had the opportunity to get D, possibly. So I was really cognizant of like what's my ABC choice for
Right.
this. And I thought that Joe and Jonathan would give me the best shot because I thought they might split
Yeah.
some of those votes. And I didn't want another underdog story sitting next to me. And that Rizzo can tell a tale. He's incredible in tribal. That's like his Super Bowl.
Now, you did mention your arch nemesis, Michelle, who obviously you lost Survivor to that time, and that was heartbreaking. And there's controversy, just like any Survivor finale. You said you learned some things from her when you were talking to Probst during the
Yeah.
reunion show yesterday. What specifically did you learn about how she played or how she presented how she is?
Yeah, I wouldn't call her my arch nemesis. I don't think that comes from us. I think that comes from the lore, just to be clear. It's okay. Um, but I think in Survivor Co Wrong, I got knocked on my social game a lot. But I think my
Right,
social game in Co Wrong, I made really deep relationships that allowed me to influence the game. But when I got to the end of the game, people were really hurt by what I'd done. I
right,
think Michelle really showed me about the importance of being receptive and that there are other ways to be social with people that might not be
right.
the way that's like this super intense relationship making that is like kind of in my DNA. And I really kind of explored what it meant to build relationships in Survivor from kind of different facets because of Michelle.
Is that what you think put you over the finish line this time around? Was it the social game? What do you think you did better or
Mhm.
what clicked more than other times? Because again, you played good games.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it was a combination of things. I think I've done a lot of work on myself to remain grounded. I think this time I had a lot more perspective on where the game was. Like I was able to zoom out. I came into the merge without a lot of social equity. And the blessing in that, even though I wasn't locked with anyone, is that I was able to kind of sit back and see where all the pieces were moving, where all the people were kind of playing. So I had this kind of zoomed out version on it. And
Right.
I do think, like, I told myself, I'm going to come into this game and I'm going to be like someone's pleasant surprise, but that doesn't mean their best friend. It means I could be a little bit aloof. And I think I did that. Like, I don't want to be an aloof person in life, but I think that I kind of had the right balance of not being so far away from people
Right.
socially. that they would leave me out, but being not being too close, that I
Right.
would hurt them. So I actually think it was a very social game and also like a positioning game. Strategically, I was very aware of where I was positioned at all times, and I wanted to make sure that I peaked at the right moment because I've seen what happens if you peak too early, you're out. And I learned from Michelle and Chris Underwood that you can peak toward the end of the game, and that can be the perfect time where you're top of mind to the jury.
Well, that was the hardest part of your game is the fact that, like you said, you want to be close enough to people, but not
Yes.
too close. And that is a
Yeah,
very difficult, when you
it
put
is
yourself in that kind of position again, that's a very difficult kind of relationship
hard.
to manage. Now, watching that tribal council again, I've been covering Survivor since the very beginning. Man, that was weird. There was a lot of, it seemed like there was a lot of stuff going on with the jury and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
Was it more difficult with that jury than others? And what do you think? What is your perception of what was going on there? Because the jury seemed to be battling it out as long as you three were.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing with returning seasons. There's always
Right.
pre-existing wounds in relationships. I
Right.
think that this is very much the case for Survivor 50, plus the stakes were so much higher. I think Survivor 50 is a season we're going to look back on seasons later and like turn over a stone, you see a different facet of it. Like there were
Right.
so many dynamics that were obvious, not obvious. I learned stuff watching the season. Like I didn't realize how close Ozzy, Suri, and Rizzo were. I knew Ozzy and Suri were close. So there were all these things just being uncovered along the way. And it was wild. Like even Devins was asking me about like, did you keep a secret? And I'm like, did you and Emily keep secrets? But then I realized that he was probably asking, I put this together this morning. I'm not sure, but I think he may have been thinking that I gave the Kahlo idol to Rizzo when it was actually Genevieve. So there's like everyone was trying to figure stuff out, and it was wild. Like I learned that Christian gave me the idol at the
Yeah.
final tribal. Like that was wild.
Now you were able to watch it all back again, and again, you don't get to see a lot of what goes on behind the scenes and stuff because you're not party to those. What really surprised you the most about the things that you saw?
So I wouldn't say I would say my intuition knew this, and it
Right.
really validated it. Rizzo's game.
Right.
The kid has some game on him. I would always say to people, there's something about Rizzo that we're not seeing.
Yeah.
Why are we not talking about him? And then I'm watching him like giving advice to vets. I mean, he was giving it to me at times. So I think that was a big part of it. And it was also really cool to see Jonathan's game too. Jonathan was super deliberate along the way, and he was a formidable person to be sitting next to me at the end.
Now, I spoke to Ozzy about this at great length
Yeah.
because, and again, this has come up before with survivors who are on the island and they say, I had a dream about this, or, I had a feeling that something
Yeah.
I needed to go
Yeah.
home, or like when
Yeah.
Jenna, that whole thing with that. It's being out there and being away from all of your daily distractions where there's this talk about intuition, and you
Mm.
just brought it up
Mm.
yourself. Did
Yeah.
was your intuition on the island, was it very different, your
Mm.
experience very different than when you're at home, day-to-day life? Because that's what a lot of people tell me. Being alone on the island
Yeah.
opens them to this.
Yes. Thank you so much for asking this question. And really, I am surprised no one else has asked it. My first season, my intuition was my best friend.
Yeah,
When you are starving, I almost feel like it cuts off other noise you have in your body and you're more receptive. I had intuition my first season. I would always say that I could tell who I was going to work with who I was comfortable with sitting in
right.
silence. My sixth sense would turn on and I would just know after the third time I played where I went out with an idol in my pocket, I lost my intuition and my ability to trust myself. So I spent 7 years. I did intuitive healing.
Right.
I worked with an amazing psychic named Catherine Schiff. She helped me like trust myself again, and it came back. Because the thing is, if you play Survivor too much, it can get scrambled. But if you can
Right.
really remain grounded, that intuition is everything. I felt like I could be grounded in this game and
Right.
also like disassociate when I needed to see everything going on.
Now we've seen you come a long, long way again. It's, been brought
Mhm.
up that you had a shaky start when you
I
began
did.
Survivor. When you look back at the person you were and then you see the
Oh,
person you are today, I mean, my life changed when I became a father. My perspective
yeah.
changed. All those kinds of things changed. How have you changed as a person as when you look back? Do you look back at that person? Do you recognize her?
Oh, I recognize her. I just wish that she knew that there are some things that you can't control
Right.
and that things are never as good or as bad as they seem. My dad always says that. Um, and that you just have to roll with the punches. I've been through so much since the first time I played. I had a child, I started a business, I moved across the country. My father had a heart transplant and we almost lost him. Like, I've just lived so much. And I would just tell her, don't worry, every little thing is going to be all right.
Well,
Yeah.
Aubrey, it was wonderful talking to you.
John.
Once again,
Thank
congratulations on
you.
your win. Enjoy it. And who knows, like many other player winners, we've seen them come back. Maybe your survivor journey isn't over just yet. You never know. You can
You
never
never
say,
know.
never know with Jeff Probst when he comes knocking on the door.
Yeah, you never know, but I'm really excited to see the open era and all these people who deserve another chance. I'm really
Right.
excited to see them.
Well, Aubrey, take care. Thanks for
Thank
talking to us.
you.
All the best to you.
Thank you.